Happy evening, guys! It's CapCorgi. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing green. So I wanted to take a moment out of my St. Patrick's Day celebrations to talk about the major gaming news of today, which is DLSS 5. Nvidia has absolutely driven the internet crazy, including me. And we're going to talk about it right now because I think what we're seeing here is a continuation of the trend of these absolutely out of touch companies that have went all in on AI and generative AI and decided to make it their entire identity and to because they've already spent so much money. There's no choice but to go in even further. So let's dive into the discussion. We're gonna see the actual side by sides. I'm gonna talk about what I think is the real problem here, as in the lack of art direction, spoiler alert, and how it kind of defeats the purpose of the one of the most important aspects of gaming that literally makes gaming what it is. I've been a gamer for a very long time. I know you guys have if you're watching this video. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. When a game like, Wind Waker, its art direction stays relevant for the next 20 years. This type of AI art direction, so-called, is something that completely defeats that. This is completely, diametrically opposed to one of the pillars of gaming. So let's talk about it. I brought up the actual page from Nvidia, where they have proudly hailed Nvidia DLSS 5 delivers AI-powered breakthrough in visual fidelity for gamers. Now, I'm not like the typical AI hater. I am not a fan of generative AI in any way, shape, or form, really. But I like to look at things in context. So when someone is using a tool to improve, workflows or something like that, it's quite a bit different than when Nvidia is trying to put a filter over every single piece of art that's ever been made in video games to try to sell more graphics cards and to push their AI agenda. These are very, very different types of style of AI, different breadths, different uses, different use cases. And this, in my opinion, is way worse. DLSS 1 was about, making performance better. DLSS 2 and 3 and 4, very similar types of deals where it's trying to create generated frames that, bridge the gaps. Because, when you have a very high use of your graphics card, when you're playing a game that is way too strong for your graphics card, you lose frames. You go down from 60, 70, 80 frames that you're trying to get, trying to hit that sweet spot where your eyes can't tell and you're increasing the visual quality, and the performance starts to go down. It kind of bridges that gap by generating those frames in the middle. That's kind of what DLSS has been used for, at least for the past few years. Or that's what they're trying to say it should be used for. That's what I say it should be used for. But now, game companies, the very same ones that are championing, all of this AI, NVIDIA DLSS 5 AI filter bullshit, they've been championing the use of DLSS to lower their own development cost, period, by just not optimizing the game and just relying on DLSS as a crutch, which is not what DLSS was supposed to be used for in the first place. This, by the way, is exactly the same thing. DLSS was never made to do this. It was never made to put a sheen on a girl's face. It was never made to completely change the art direction of a character. It's absolutely insane that this is what it's being used for now. But anyways, all right, let's go to the side by side. Sorry, that's this side. So let's start with the video. Consent for optional cookies. I guess I have no choice. So let's see. All right. Resident Evil Requiem. By the way, I do want to bring up, there is a very direct reason why you see so many pictures and videos from certain game companies championing this DLSS 5. Nvidia is working with these companies that are already being forced to, or are big champions of AI and, trying to skip development costs, trying to, fire developers and so on and so forth in order to make more money. The games that are used in this entire segment, Capcom is notorious for doing this. I love Capcom. I love Resident Evil. So far, about 10 hours into Resident Evil 9. Absolutely love the game so far, But let's be real. This is the same company that made Dragon's Dogma 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds and released it in a completely unfinished state just to make fiscal year end targets, just to sell a broken product to make the number go up, to make their stock go up. They love their shareholders way more than they love actual gamers. Certain game developers that are, not the execs in Capcom still have heart and soul, and that's why they try to make good fucking games. But they're being outnumbered, man. And you can tell because they're pushing this shit. Same with Bethesda. Bethesda is now owned by Microsoft. Microsoft is, one of the major Big 10 companies. I think it's 9 or 10 companies that are like the huge AI companies now. And, Satya Nadella just fired Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. And just, in their stead, put an AI shill with their new Microsoft gaming CEO. This is not coincidence. So when Microsoft comes down on high and says, Todd Howard, you gotta push this shit, there's a reason you're seeing a lot of Starfield in this as well. This is not a coincidence, guys. But I'll make a more detailed video about this later. Here's the side-by-side. I'm gonna let it play first. But you gotta notice the differences. Look at the differences, guys. The entire art style changes. They change her race. She looks more Asian now. This is insane. The entire lighting changes the focus of the character, of the scene. This is how you know these AI execs have no fucking clue what makes someone want to buy a game like Resident Evil 9. I'll go more in detail. All right. Wait, this was not the full video. Where was the full video? Oh, maybe it was this? Maybe it was this one. There was one that had, Starfield and stuff as well. I think it was this one. But we can see it again here. I'll turn the music down a little bit. There we go. If you... Here, I'll talk about it a little bit more here. Because, you see where the shadow is pointing, right? So, the shadow is pointing here. The light is pointing here. You're very directly seeing the direction of the light. You're trying to see the shadow. You're trying to focus on the eyes. You're trying to focus on certain aspects of Leon. It's supposed to be like this. But then, when this changes, it adds this entire sheen, this entire filter. You lose the focus on the shadow under the eyes. You start to, see all of these other details, which are completely extraneous to the point of having the art direction for Resident Evil Requiem. You're supposed to see him look haggard. You're supposed to see him look ill. You're supposed to see him look like he's out of sorts. He's focused on other things. He's desperate. That is lost when you change the entire art direction, the lighting in the scene. Oh my god. This is my exact point. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Hogwarts Legacy. WB Games is one of the worst trend-chasing companies out there, by the way. But you get to see another major difference here. A lot of what's going on with DLSS 5 is that, so one of the problems with the overuse of, the current iteration of DLSS 4 and so on and so forth with games like Monster Hunter Wilds is that when you generate a frame and you stick it in the middle of the game, what happens is that you are essentially creating latency because the game, DLSS has to predict what happens between frame 1 and frame 2 for the middle frame, right? So let's just say frame 1 and 3 because you're running out of frames. So you're skipping frame 2. DLSS is generating frame 2, and in a game like Monster Hunter Wilds, which is based on hitboxes, if it generates that frame incorrectly and, makes it a little wonky or whatever, you start to see these aberrations when you're playing the game where something hits you when it shouldn't have hit you. And the worse your frames are, the more frames that you're generating. And, when Monster Hunter Wilds first came out, they had DLSS cranked up to like literally 11 to make the game even remotely playable, and it still wasn't playable. You were still getting 20 to 30 FPS. Apparently now they fixed it, but who knows? I haven't tried the new version of the new update for Monster Hunter Wilds. It's been broken for well over a year. Piece of shit Capcom. I love Capcom as a game company when they make good games, but when they're trying to fix, games that they've released in a broken state, they take absolutely forever. I don't even know if it's fixed or not. Some people are saying it is. I hope so. I'll definitely give it a good old college try to see if it is finally in a playable state. Regardless, the middle frame, the frame 2 in between frame 1 and 3, is kind of a lot of times where an issue happens, especially with games that need a very, very high level of DLSS to make it playable. Hitboxes get all wonky and everything. Now, what is going on here, for example, with Hogwarts Legacy, we'll let it play out, is that the prediction is going crazy. They have turned on the prediction for lighting and for details up to like, here we go. Oh, this is perfect. Up to like, 17 out of 10. Because what you're seeing here is they're making this character look like 50 years older than she is. They're adding lines here that should never have been there. They're completely changing the structure and the actual age and everything of the character. It's literally insane what details the engine is trying to predict to add that don't even remotely belong there. You're not trying to show this character to be 180 years old. That's not the point of this character. But because DLSS is being used as a bullshit tool, which it shouldn't be used for, that is what is showing up. And not only that, they're adding just random sheen and random lighting and random, particle effects and, I guess, directed lighting to make the game look shinier. Because shinier is better. Or that's what they think. And that is absolutely not the case. A lot of times what, shows art direction, we saw this with the Leon example here, is the lack of lighting, the shadow, also shows a massive reasoning behind art direction. You have a reason to have shadow. You have a reason to have light showing. And when you put, this young filter on, for example, which is kind of what it looks like. They kind of just de-aged him 10 years. And it's like, okay, this is the hotter Leon. People are going to like this more, for example. Same thing with Grace over here. You lose the entire point of the character. You lose the entire art direction of why the character looks like what they're supposed to look like. Oh, and also, this is a great point. So it already looks rough, but when she starts moving, that's when it looks infinitely worse. This is when this needs so much more work. The wheels, when it's just the still picture, it looks bad, but it's a bad that is, I guess, workable. When she starts moving, you're like, oh god, this looks like a Grok video. Oh, excuse me. Oh, geez, this looks like a ChatGPT generated video. That's what it looks like. It looks like, this kind of reminds me of the Uncanny Valley feeling of the Will Smith eating spaghetti. This is a great example. In this game, you are a character who is all of 16 years old, 17 years old at the most. You're a kid. You're in high school. You're in Hogwarts. When you add the filter, you have aged the character another 20 years. You've given him lines that shouldn't be there. You have lines here that you get in your 20s or whatever. I would know. I'm a little bit of an older guy now. So, I have these lines now. I'm very blessed to do that. It's good to, get a little older. But that's not the character in Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy, you're all of 16, 17 years old. This is completely changing the character. Not only that, you are completely changing the skin color of the character. Why? DLSS 5 might be one of the worst AI filter garbages in so long. And it's something that has actually almost united almost everyone in the gaming sphere. Now, you have a random other people like Yorch Torch Gaming or Endymion or whatever that are championing this. And those are the typical people that are like, oh my god, gaming's so woke. We need to make every character have big tits and have giant, giant asses and everything like that, even when it has no point in the character's art design. And this kind of filter is exactly what reminds me of that. That's a very, very bad sign. But yeah, you can't change the art direction of a character completely and then act like, this is a good idea. That's the real problem here. Let's see the next one. And again, when the character starts moving, it looks way worse. It looks like you're like, oh god, okay, everything just falls off. The shadows are like, the lighting is like looking at his eyes. This lighting is going here. Here, let me move my head so you can see it better. This lighting on the goblin in the background is going on this side. It's all over the place. It is not a uniform art direction anymore. What amounts to is now an Instagram filter. Oh, here it is. Here's Starfield. Here's Bethesda. Todd Howard. Let's see it. Let's see it. Ooh. They changed her entire skin color. They changed, to be fair, the Starfield characters look terrible already. So, any difference is extremely stark. But you can see the changes in expression. You can see the changes in the eyes. You can see the changes, it's like the lip filter was added. Like, they add, lip filler to the character. It's so weird. These characters don't look too bad. These are some better looking characters in Starfield compared to some of the other ones. And whoa, they made him from one type of character looking like, John Starfield, completely changing his look. He looks like he's out of Wolfenstein now almost. And this character, this one is not done too badly. It's actually very not uniform how, the filter that they're adding, the DLSS 5 filter, is going to change the character. But, you know what's weird? Look at what happens to the background. The background lighting completely changes as well. The shadows in the background, it just brightens up the entire background, which is not good when you're dealing with a game that, in this use case, takes place in space. Shadows and stuff everywhere. You have these things because, lighting and electricity and stuff is at premium. That's the point of space. That's the point of limited resources. The game has base building, all that, for that kind of reason. Everything is super bright here, which completely changes the scene. Oh, and this one. Okay, this one I wanted to showcase especially because look at the ball. When he hits the ball. Did you see how the ball looked? Let's see if I can get the correct pause. What is going on here? And this is not the only frame it happens in. There's a couple of frames in here, and I'll try to see if I can find the other ones, where the ball is oh, geez, this is early AI, spaghetti of Will Smith going all over the place. Here we go. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? And don't even, start to look at the people in the background. Holy shit. This AI filter with DLSS on has made the entire background, the entire crowd, look like absolute fucking dog shit. See, the problem is simple. DLSS 5 just makes everything look bad. If it didn't make everything look bad, people would not be complaining. If it was just a little bit too bright or whatever like that, it would be an issue that people would be talking about. But everything looks markedly worse. The backgrounds look worse. The lighting looks worse. The character detail looks worse. The art design is gone. Everything has an AI filter now. The expressions are muted. Grace at the beginning, she goes from white to Chinese. It completely changes her race. Like, don't even ask what is going on with his mouth here. This is the problem. This is the problem. Look at what's happening to his shirt and everything as well when DLSS goes on. There it is. You're like, what is this? It's like caved in. It is so weird. It is so weird. And I think this just shows how completely Nvidia is missing the point. Now, there was another video. Let's see if I can find it on there of GTA. They had one specifically with GTA. I don't know if it's on here. Ooh, here it is. What was this? What game is this? Zora Tech. Oh, jeez. See, there are some memes going around about the DLSS filter and how it, like, completely changes characters and stuff. And I thought those memes were, like, funny. But I didn't realize how true these memes were. Like, this is actually what it looks like. Oh my god. This one is, oh god, this one is so good. This to this. Obviously, this is a meme. But compare it to this. This kind of looks like that guy. I mean, it's become reality. From sublime to ridiculous now. Oh my god. That is the entire issue. And we'll do some more side-by-sides if you guys want. But I think this kind of really encapsulates what's going on. So, here, can I make this larger? Let's see if I can. I can, thank goodness. Okay. Let's go back up to here. There we go. So we can take a deeper look at this one. Again, it is adding details that ages the character. And it changes the lighting. Everything looks cleaner. This is supposed to be a grungier city. This is a little town in Hogsmeade for a Hogwarts Legacy. And here, with DLSS on, everything looks super clean. Why is that? It's because it gets rid of the art style. It's because the shadows tell a story in a video game. And here, all those shadows are muted or gone. And they've added, like, extra reflections and things like that. This is one reason that, like, people love RTX and ray tracing and stuff. And ray tracing is good in some instances. Like, everyone's seen the Cyberpunk videos. But in Cyberpunk, that's a very different game than, for example, Resident Evil 2 Remake. And in Resident Evil 2 Remake, when you have ray tracing fully on, the characters and lighting and stuff can sometimes be completely different. And actually change it and kind of make it look worse in a lot of ways. A lot of games, even like, especially older ones, I don't even turn ray tracing on anymore. Because it completely changes the character of the setting design. And this is yet another type of thing that's being pushed by Nvidia. There's a reason that Nvidia has been pushing the 50 series cards. Is to sell more of these products. And it's, the more ray tracing that you use, the more this that you use, the more DLSS that you use, blah, blah, blah. The higher quality cards you need, the more money that they make. But it's even more insidious now. Because they're using... They basically... I don't know if you guys remember, but Nvidia canceling cheaper cards. So Nvidia has actually canceled the production of their cheaper cards. And when they're cutting off that supply, they're basically making it that you have to buy the 500 series cards, the 400 series cards. Here it is. Nvidia reportedly cancels partner incentive scheme to sell cards at MSRP. Which, this is part of it. But they actually canceled their production of the lower quality cards. Where was it? Okay, yeah, here it is. Nvidia is canceling the RTX 50 Super Series. So the Super Series is, the lower quality card, the 5060 Super, so on and so forth, which are the lower power, slightly lower power cards of that generation. For example, my current card is a 4070 Super. That is the, I guess, like half generation after the 4070 came out. And so, they updated the power profile a little bit. So, it uses less power draw. You can use it in a laptop easier and so on and so forth. Because of that reason, it has a little bit less, graphical power, but the efficiency goes up. So that level of card for the 500 series, or the 50 series, is gone now. They're just not doing it anymore. And it's because they're, using those cards for AI. They want that efficiency for AI. They want you as consumers to only buy their most expensive cards. It's such like a triple whammy that is caused by all this AI dog shit that, it's getting a bit much, man. It's getting a bit much. I have something to say because there's a lot of people online right now that are big supporters of Nvidia. They're big supporters and shills of, like, these large game companies and stuff. They're saying, well, previous versions of DLSS, were AI too, technically, so why you hating? And no, previous versions of DLSS, and I talked about those issues as well already, but those were approximating super sampling. They're rendering something at a higher resolution. That is diametrically different than adding a filter that changes the lighting and art direction of every single part of scene, of every character in every scene, and so on and so forth, in every single scene in every single game. Extremely, extremely different. Anyways, that's my little discussion. What do you guys think of the Nvidia DLSS 5 issue? The biggest gaming scandal right now. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. And what do you guys think is the future? Do you think Nvidia pulls back? Because the people are, quite understandably upset. Everyone's memeing it. And the memes are actually, like, pretty darn apt. Everyone's making fun of it. And, the CEOs are getting kind of antsy while prices continue to go up and up and up. And I really do think that this is a problem. I really do think this is a problem for these companies because at some point, the major bet that all of these AI companies are doing, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple as well, Meta, all these companies that are developing AI, generative AI, these companies are going all in. And they're raising the bet. They're doubling down. They're doubling down. They're doubling down. They're doubling down. But if you guys remember what happened to that financial company that was betting on the shorts against GameStop, they lost money over and over at a higher factor because they kept doing the thing against the market. And when you keep doing that over and over again, at some point, if you lose so gigantically big that, the company can die. And we have had crashes. 2008 market crash wasn't that long ago. The 2000 crash of tech stocks all the way back then was, it was 26 years ago, but it was only 26 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. We're having pullbacks already. And at some point, you got to wonder, how long will these AI companies be pushing these products that the people do not want, the people are not going to use? And especially us gamers, we're extremely opinionated people. So at some point, if Capcom pushes AI and makes that the point, which is exactly what they're trying to do, that's why they have 6 different versions of the filter here. They are one of the companies that really wants this. If they end up firing their development team and their artists, or firing a chunk of them before, Resident Evil Code Veronica remake comes out, or Resident Evil 10 comes out, and we see that as gamers, and the art quality and design of the game is terrible, and it's a debacle like Resident Evil 6, or it's a debacle like Resident Evil 3 remake, Capcom can't afford a hit like that. I don't know if they realize this. I think they might realize this, You know, maybe it's worth another video. So if you want me to talk about Capcom, and you know, it's a company that I love dearly. When they're at their best, they're literally the best, and when they're at their worst, they make games like Resident Evil 3 Remake. So, you know, if you want me to talk more, and Monster Hunter Wilds, and Dragon's Dogma 2, oh my god, the list goes on. If you want me to talk about that, let me know down in the comments below, because I think Capcom is an extremely, extremely prescient, window into the problems of the AAA games industry as a whole. So if you'd like to see that video as well, do let me know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, give it a comment, share it with your friends, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and stay very, very safe out there. Everyone's going crazy, of course, and it's very weird weather. So much love, and thank you so much for enjoying this video.